Hello and welcome to another Unrestology, where we take an unrested look at life from somebody who's completely unaccredited to do so, me, Unrested. Today we are covering the topic of anxiety, and probably a lot of you are wondering, Scott, why anxiety? Well, my shows tend to be about what my viewers write to me the most about. Comments, emails, PMs on Facebook, Twitter, and a lot of the time that concerns anxiety, whether it be about anxiety of coming to Japan or everyday life or getting a job in the future or school or relationships, dating, etc. I get asked about this a lot, surprisingly to myself and maybe to you too. Not something I expected to have happen when I started this channel, but it has, and I have tackled social issues in the past, so I thought I would take Unrestology in the same direction. So first of all, let's answer the question, what is anxiety? Well, let me go ahead and get you a textbook definition. Anxiety, definition number 1, a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease about something with an uncertain outcome. Synonyms include worry, concern, apprehension. Definition number 2, strong desire or concern to do something or for something to happen. Synonyms include eagerness, keenness, desire, impatience, longing, yearning. All right, now that we know we are semantically on the same page, let's continue on with my notes, because yes, I did take notes to make sure we hit a lot of bullet points and stay focused. When do anxious situations happen? Well, there are multiple situations in which this happens. It can be anything from judgment, it can be anything from achieving a goal, for looking for a goal to be accomplished in the future, or even the possibility of losing a goal you've already accomplished. Where does it happen? Well, it usually happens in different parts of our lives and in different situations in our life, when we're feeling a large amount of stress, when we're in a stressful situation, when we're in a situation in which we feel we might be judged. The cure. There is no cure. There is no magic pill. There is no silver bullet. You will always have anxiety. What level it affects you is what we'll be talking about today. So, what I've gone on to next is anxiety's causes in modern society. Sounds very scientific, doesn't it? It's not. It's not. Number 1, losing something you hold dear. You may be anxious about losing something, whether that be a relationship, a job, a position, maybe an object of worth in your life. Whatever it may be, you're anxious about losing it. You're worried about losing it. Achieving external or internal goals. Now, why I say external and internal is because we have a lot of our own goals. Sure, we do. You know, there's things we want to do with our lives. There's places we want to go. There's jobs we want to work. There's people we want to meet. But at times in our life, our parents may be the external version of that, having goals they want us to meet. Our boss may be the external version of that, having goals he or she wants us to meet. Our job may be that. Our peers may be that. Our fellow students at school may be that. So there are external and internal goals that either we want to achieve for ourselves or to meet the expectations of others that make us feel anxious. Number 3, creating dark scenarios for one's future without justifiable reason. Okay, this happens a lot, and probably my wife is one of the worst people ever for doing this, creating the most dark, depressing scenario of what could go horribly wrong in life. If we get overcharged for something on our credit card, she imagines we're going bankrupt the next day. If my son gets slightly ill, she imagines he has a terminal disease. It can be a bit frustrating to deal with at times. To help a person like this calm down, I do deal with it quite a bit, as my wife does tend to concern herself with dark scenarios that have yet to play out or even a possibility at times. Nonetheless, this isn't something we should judge someone for. It is something we should help them to look past, to get over, and to conquer as a future fear or dark scenario that they're imagining. Explain to them why this is possibly a little bit irrational to think about or consider. Break it down for them, make it something that they can easily analyze in their own mind and say, okay, yes, I am overdoing it with the dark, depressing stuff in my head. I'm being a little bit moody. I'm being a little bit too gloomy with my thoughts. Worries about judgment are the next one on the list. The way you look, the way you speak, conversations you may or may not have had, a sense of humor even, status, your physical build, or even the media that you're into, such as music, movies, TV, or video games, are something you might be worried about being judged for. I know some of these might sound crazy to some of you, but these are all things that either at some point in our life or another person's life, they are worried about being judged for. And it's just as much a concern as the other scenarios that I just mentioned. So we need to take it all into consideration. Of course, there are more than just these few base lists that I made. There is a large amount of different things we can have anxiety about. If I went through all of them, this video would be way too long and probably people would click off of it. So from there, I'm going to move on to the next part, which is anxiety's progression through our life. Now, there are many triggers throughout our life that increase or decrease anxiety. I'm just going to go over a few that I've observed personally. There is no philosophy, psychology, or psychiatry behind any of what I'm saying. This is just something I took notes on myself. From baby to toddler age, we don't really experience nearly as much anxiety as we do later in life, and this is because it's easy to make friends. Pretty much our only requirement for our peers during this age is that, do you want to play? Yes, now we are friends. That's it. It is a really easy part of our life to make friends because there's not a lot of judgment going on. There's not a lot of likes and dislikes. Pretty much we all like the same stuff. Toys and playing, or playgrounds and playing, or playrooms and playing. That's about it. Maybe some snacks get thrown in there. Life is simple. It's nice. Toddler to elementary school. Now here's where we start to get into our first sectioning off of groups. Boys and girls. We see a division in the sexes. We see boys gather together with other boys and girls gather together with other girls, do their boys things and their girls things. Now I realize there's a lot of different pronouns in between there now. We're going to just stick to not worrying about being super PC with what we name people, okay? I'm a big supporter of LGBT, be whatever you want, grow up to be whatever you want, choose whatever gender you want. That's not the discussion here. Anyway, boys and girls. Girls like their girly type stuff. A lot of people associate pink, princess toys, girly toys with girls. Not saying that's every girl out there, okay? Generalization, sweeping generalization, I understand, I get it, I know. Boys, trucks, cars, you know, fighting toys, toys with muscles, manly toys. They start to divide each other. And they even do stuff like call each other gross or say that they need their cootie shot when I was young. You need your cootie shot from the girls because you don't want to get infected by girls. Of course, this is just a sign of immaturity. This is just us growing up. This is us being confused by the opposite sex or not completely understanding why the opposite sex likes what they like, not seeing eye to eye on different types of media as to TV shows, video games, etc., etc. Going on from there, elementary school to junior high school, our divisions increase. So we've already got kind of a division of girl and boy that continues on through elementary school and a little bit up into the early stages of junior high school where we still have not become as co-ed as we are in high school. We have individual styles start to emerge, personalities, dispositions, attitudes, further dividing us. So this creates an even bigger division in us, makes communication and sometimes association with one another a little bit more difficult. Not saying it absolutely makes people super anxious or judgmental of each other, but this does add to that aspect of our life. Next is junior high school to high school. Now we get even more divided. The dichotomies become multiple on multiple forking paths. Cliques, groups, clubs, even who we drink with, sports, parties, sense of humor, sometimes even drugs, games, TV, movies, music, clothing. It just goes on and on and on. We become super separated, super cliquish, and we really divide ourselves into what we think is our quote-unquote group of friends, genre of music, genre of movie, genre of dress, into almost every aspect of our life. We want to become an individual. This is forming who we are by the different things we associate, not just with our personality, but our style, our disposition, our attitude, and our look on life in general. We're forming all these at this time. So we become a little bit scatterbrained with what we want to do, how we want to appear, and what kind of goals we want to set. And this divides us even more. Meanwhile, while we're doing all that, because everyone is making different types of goals, styles, sets, and groups, they begin judging the other one because either number one, they feel threatened by comparing these groups, or number two, they feel threatened that their group or that group is better or worse than their own. So yes, these are all things that accumulatively add to our anxiety, our judgment, and our worry about judgment and anxiety from other groups, people, places, everything in life. It increases and increases. Now, The good thing is once you become an adult, a true adult, I don't just mean like a 20-year-old in college, I mean like you get out of the college world and into the actual work world, some of these things dissolve into the background, okay? You're not gonna be considered cool by the music you listen to. You're not gonna really be considered super cool by the way you dress by the time you get into the workplace. Usually there's a standard way to dress or a uniform even in most workplaces. And no one really cares about what music you like by the time you reach full adulthood. No one's gonna judge you on that. No one's gonna judge you on the TV shows or video games or movies you watch like they would in high school or even maybe junior high school. So that's the good news. Now we're getting to the main part that everybody writes me about, and that is the remedies or solutions that will help you get past some of the anxiety in your life. Again, I'm not gonna say cures because there is no 100% cure for anxiety. There will always be situations in life that make you feel anxious, and you will not get past those. You can learn to deal with them though, and that's kind of what we're doing here, is learning coping and dealing mechanisms that let us work around the anxiety you feel. And number one is creating your second self. Now, a lot of people take this the wrong way. When I say it, they think I'm saying be fake, act fake around people, put on a smile when you're not happy. No, that's not quite what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to take aspects that you see in other people and create your own version of that that works for you. If you see somebody who handles insults really well and you like how they handle them, create that part of you. Make your own version of that. If you see a person who says something very cringy but then does a great roll back out of it and saves the whole conversation, try to copy what they do but make your own version of it. Make that second you that can deal with any sort of situation that makes you feel anxious. You're gonna have to put yourself in these situations no matter what. You're going to have to face anxiety-filled situations. They don't disappear. They're not going to be erased from your life. There's no way to avoid these. So you might as well come up with ways to deal with them. So for example, let me give you a way in which I created a way to deal with people who insulted me in high school. When I felt like someone was making fun of me or teasing me or bullying me, rather than suddenly take offense and try and fire back with my own insult or have a snappy comeback, I watched my friend Shirley, and my friend Shirley had this amazing way to deal with insults that came his way. Instead of fighting back, he would accept them. And you're probably thinking, that doesn't seem like it would work. But the way Shirley did it actually worked. Someone would say, hey, Shirley, now of course this is inappropriate, I'm only using this as an example, please don't flame me in the comments below. They'd be like, yo, Shirley, you gay, boy. And he'd be like, yes, I am, you're gonna be my boyfriend. And he'd get all gay up in their face, super flamboyant gay, and talk to them like they were going to be their boyfriend. So it really made the other person feel extremely uncomfortable for having said that to Shirley. He was hilarious about that. Now, Shirley was not gay. He very much so enjoyed the company of women instead of men. But there was nothing wrong with being gay, and we didn't see it as anything being wrong as gay. But that's how he would handle that insult, is turn it back around and make the other person feel embarrassed. Now, I'm not saying you need to use that for every situation, but that's one way to roll with the punches that come at you. Another way would be my friend Maynard. Every time he would say something cringy, and he would kind of slip up a couple times and either say something where he put his foot in his mouth or just something that the joke didn't carry through quite as he expected, he would do this thing where he would suddenly just shut his eyes and go like this, and then pop his eyes back open and say, oh, sorry, I blacked out, what happened? And everyone would just let it, they would laugh about it. They would think that was hilarious, and he had just gotten himself out of a cringy situation. You need to make your own mechanisms that work like this. Watch somebody else handle a situation that makes you anxious. See how they handle it, and if they do it in a way in which you're like, wow, that worked out really well, create your own way that matches it. Of course, make it you. Don't completely copy that person, because that will come off as very fake. You need to make your own version of the things that you think work as far as getting you out of situations you feel the most anxiety in. Next on our list is ignore social barriers. Social barriers will be up no matter where and what you do in life. From high school on up, you're going to experience a lot of them, whether it be a clique in high school, a frat in college, any kind of group that won't let you get through their barriers. I'm not saying those are the groups that do it, I'm just saying it happens. So what you've got to be able to do is, number one, to ignore social barriers, you need to only associate with those who also ignore them. There are groups and people within all these different aspects of your life that also completely ignore and don't bow to social judgment. And those are the kind of people you want to meet and be buddy-buddy with. Now, I'm not saying every single person you meet who is a total, misanthropic anthropoid with a total anarchist view of society or a complete sociopath is who needs to become your friend. I'm saying people who can look past where you're from, who you are, what your background is, what group you're part of, what music you're into, what style you dress in, and just see you for you. Those are the kind of people you want to search out for in your life. And that brings us to our next topic. That is friends, the kind of friends you keep in your life. I've got a whole section right here in my notes written on friends because that's a big part of anxiety. Find your true friends, okay? Number one, loyalty. Who are your real friends? Those are the ones that are loyal to you. They're the ones that are there for your fights, for your struggles, for your mistakes, and making judgment when judgment is needed, not behind your back. Now you're probably wondering, what exactly do you mean by that, Scott? If you are screwing up to the point that it's negatively affecting your life, and that friend steps in and says, look, I know you're doing this because of this, but look at how this is affecting this. That is a good friend. That is not a judgmental friend. That is a friend who is looking out for your own good, your own safety, and your health even. If you are in an abusive relationship and your friend steps in and says, look, I don't like the way this person is treating you, take a look, take a step back, analyze your life. If you're addicted to some aspect of your life, I'm not saying it has to be drugs, it could be food or even exercise I've seen people addicted to before, and a friend steps in and says, look, I think you're going at this too hard. Take a step back and analyze it. That's because these are your real friends. What are fake friends? Well, I've listed a couple things for them too. Need you more than you need them. The kind of friends who constantly call you when they're in some sort of emotional or maybe physical or some sort of social or financial trouble and they need your help. That's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you call them and they don't reciprocate the same kind of help when you're in the same type of situations, that is not a true friend. That is not a loyal friend. You do not need people like that in your life. Those are social vampires. Those are emotional vampires. They will drain you. Expect you to act a certain way. If you have a friend who expects you to act a certain way as far as their clique is concerned, even maybe financial status is concerned, or who knows, it could be multiple reasons. Where you're at, that you need to always act a certain way. What group you're hanging out with, you need to act a certain way. What type of music scene, or it could be anything. Any kind of scene you're into, you need to act as far as this scene is concerned or in this certain way that appeases this scene. That's not your friend. Your friend accepts you for you, however you act at any place and any time. I mean, aside from you going totally psycho. Next is talk behind your back. Now, this is when we get back into judgment. I said it's okay to judge you to your face if those are judgments that help improve your life and call out negative aspects in which that person sees either you or some aspect of your life being abused. If you constantly hear feedback that somebody's talking trash behind your back and they're supposedly your friend, no, they're not your friend. Friends help us fight anxiety because they let us be us without judgment. We know no matter how much we mess up in everyday public life, we can always come back to those friends and those family. And that is what makes us a sound, less anxious, less judgmental person who can learn to accept maybe the type of stumbles and flaws that we have all throughout life. Because like I said, anxiety is not going away. You're not going to stop being anxious in a lot of the same situations that you're anxious in. But some of the tips and the different tricks that I gave you today can help you deal with that. As always, with this discussion and any other discussion I have on any sort of social, mental, or physical illness that I talk about on either Unrestology or even my Dark Side of Japan videos, feel free to write me. Feel free to open up a conversation, and I'd love to see a dialogue in the comments below. Until next time, this is Unrestology with Unrested. Take care of yourself.